It's no secret that we aren't Honda guys here around the shop, but since these new Civic Type Rs came out, every single person that I've talked to has had nothing but high praise about this car. And you don't get that kind of consensus amongst car enthusiasts by mistake. Curiosity finally got the best of my brother, and when this one crossed the auction block in our neighboring state of New Jersey, he just couldn't resist what appears to be a very light impact and plenty of modifications already on the car. So it's time to get this thing fixed up, and we'll see if it's really as good as everybody says. One Type R was a blue. The parts are absolutely flooding into the shop for this Civic Type R, and the more we got it apart, the more we realized how many additional parts we need.
So we took the front end apart, and as you can see right here, this driver's side frame rail is definitely pushed towards the passenger side a tiny bit. The passenger side frame rail is also pushed a very small amount towards the passenger side, which would make both of them pointed at about the same angle to the right.
But that's not all. With that much movement in the frame rails, we went ahead and started looking around to see if there was any additional movement that we weren't previously anticipating.
We found right here in the front subframe, there's a small tweak and bend, which is from that rail moving over and this pushing in. We also found on the passenger side right here, there is also a bump out, tweak, bend from that going to the right, which would pinch that. So we're gonna have to replace the whole front subframe here in order to fix that.
Upon our initial inspection, we didn't really notice any of this. It didn't become really apparent until we got a bunch of the damage out of the way, and you can see that just the movement in the front end, the way that the impact was, it just tweaked everything just that little bit, but we're gonna end up replacing a lot more parts on this than we originally thought. Slide it back.
Out of that mount.
Can it come back with the...
Yeah. There it is.
Straight down. So that was a little bit fun getting all the combination of movements that we needed, which is why we chose to go the old-fashioned muscle route as opposed to using some sort of jack or stand. We had to get the subframe out of this rear mount while at the same time maneuvering around some other obstacles. But now that it's out, the first thing that we're doing is just a direct comparison to the new used subframe. The first thing that you can notice, look at how just twisted it looks. We were expecting this to maybe be a little bit more narrow, but you can see that it's a lot of height difference in it as opposed to movement inward and outward. You bought a real gem, bro.
Don't get me started.
He's feeling a little defeated right now. Now from this point, Alex is going to reassemble as much as he can with the suspension on the new subframe, and we were hoping that the new subframe's alignment would kind of tell us where these rails needed to go. We have 3 out of the 6 bolts in place. That one lines up fairly well, but because we are hitting right here, because this frame rail needs to come out, we can't quite get that into place yet. So we are going to get this put together as much as we possibly can, and then we'll get it back down on the ground and we will get the frame machine out to try and line these things up. This is a little bit more than we can do with the forklifts here, so we're going to have to get some professionals involved. The guys over at Top Coat Garage did most of the heavy lifting on this one. Once the frame was straight, they went ahead and did the body panel alignment and got everything in the front end painted. All we have to do is the final assembly. And just like that, the Type R is finished. The ceremonial removal of the salvage auction lot sticker has already been done for us because this thing needed a windshield as well. While we're waiting for just a few little parts to wrap this thing up 100%, I think it's finally time to drive this thing and see if it lives up to the hype. So Alex has driven this home from work a couple times. This is my first time riding in it, driving in it. What are your thoughts so far?
Honestly, everyone talks raves about how great these cars are, and everyone says if you drive one, you'll fall in love with it. They're not wrong. Like it is really a really good car, especially for the price point. It's comfortable. It drives nice. It's nimble. Is very nimble car. It feels a lot like an S2000. As far as like connection that you have to the car, the shifting's a little bit different than an S2000, and the steering is a little bit different. But as far as the connection that you feel and like the cockpit feel, it's very similar.
I can see that. Like sitting from the passenger seat, not even driving this, all of that looks much better than Hondas of the past. Like I think about the NSX, and one of the biggest problems I've always had with it is that just sloping away from you radio area, and this has kind of the same setup, but it's closer. Like it actually seems like a little bit more of a cockpit for a car that you might not otherwise expect it to be.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very well done car by Honda. They put a lot of engineering into these things to make them different than all the other Hondas, and it shows. I've said it, I've gotten flack for it at the shop already. In the amount of time I've driven this car, I genuinely enjoy driving this more than I ever did my 911 Turbo. Ever. It's so easy to drive. It's so like mindless, and it's still so much fun at the same time. Every time I drove the 911, it was like almost felt like a chore because you had to like worry about this or worry about that or whatever it may be. It was just so high strung, where this thing's literally just get in it and drive it, and that's all you got to do. I truly enjoy driving this more than I did the Turbo.
Dang! That is actually, yeah, that's impressive.
Those are actually spinning a lot there too.
This thing definitely seems like it's a lot of fun. I'm buying into the internet hype also, and that doesn't always happen. So glad that we were able to put this one back on the road. Huge thanks to the guys over at Top Coat Garage. They did pretty much the majority of the heavy lifting on this one, but another one from the salvage auction that's been saved.